Gyros Pizza, no tomato sauce, tzatziki sauce. Let's do it.
Okay, I have my beef and lamb gyros slices, my dough, of course, my cheese from Kirklandia, or Costco, my Greek tzatziki sauce, which is of course yogurt. It's the dill variety, cucumber, and that's important in one, the ricotta cheese, because I got to mix it with that. I'm going to hold the onion as a globe, a white onion, don't know why I held it like that, and dill, which is really important for that sauce. Thank you.
As I've said before many times, if you're going to put these gloves on, you really ought to have some cornstarch. Anything do, generic. If you don't use it for anything but gloves, get the cheapest you can. If you're going to be using it for cooking, I guess you can get organic. That's up to you. But I just buy the Kroger cornstarch. I think it's like 69 cents for, to me, a tremendous amount of cornstarch that I only use for these gloves. All right, so I'm going to go put them on, and then we're going to cut the meat.
Well, time to put on the talcum powder. Well, not really talcum powder, right? It's cornstarch. I hate talcum powder. It's not edible, so why would you want it in the kitchen? That's why I really want to show this to people. The cornstarch is what you should be using, and you should be buying non-talc gloves if you're using them in the kitchen. So, like I said, one glove will go on pretty easily, and your hands can get wet. You know, they can get sweaty, they can get wet with water in the kitchen. So doing this with the cornstarch really helps get a glove on the way it should, which is, you know, with your fingers all the way inside every single, part of the glove, and you get a good fit like that. Hey, give me a thumbs up. All right, buddy. Thumbs up to you, Eddie. All right, so now it's actually time to start cutting up the meat. Okay, so now my goal is to actually take and cut the gyros into smaller portions, or kind of like almost short strips or small pieces, in order to get down the pizza and to get it spread around all across the pizzas that I'm making. So the whole idea was to cut it up and strip it up. And for some reason, I wanted to put it in the bag, but as you can tell, that's not a good idea. And you'll see that I snap out of it, and I actually use the metal bowl. It's nice to have the ability to edit your own life. There you go. Use the metal bowl, Eddie. Alright, so then I cut this up, and after that, I'm going to actually cut the second bag. But I'm not going to show you cut the second bag. I think you know that if I can cut one bag, I can cut two bags. Yeah, you don't need to waste your lifetime watching me do that. Okay, in this next step, what I want to do is get all of the ingredients for the sauce together into the bowl. The ricotta and the three tzatziki sauces. Now there's a little bit of water in there. I'm just going to dump it out. There's a little water that floats on the top, and I wanted to get that out, so there it is. It's out. And now here's where I'm going to add the three tzatziki sauces in, and we're going to then blend that in. Now the reason I'm using ricotta is because it makes a stiffer sauce under heat. And that's really important, because I really do not want to use tzatziki. I tried it before doing this. Before actually shooting videos, I do experiments with pizza, and it was not good. It tasted okay. It didn't hold up. And thankfully, my dough is a combination of AP flour and high gluten flour, mainly AP. But thankfully for that, it didn't make it too wet. But I could tell it's not the way to do it. And doing it with the ricotta, and the ricotta is a stiffening agent in all of this, and it doesn't take away from any of the tzatziki flavor, the tzatziki sauce flavor. And of course, we're adding dill in it as well, so that's going to extend really nicely and make a thicker sauce that will hold up to heat and being cooked. And this was a win, because when I figured this out, this is what made it very achievable to make it as a pizza and keep it as almost the best interpretation I could do for a tzatziki sauce on a pizza. Okay, with the dill freshly washed, I want to actually cut this up and cut the The furriest part of the dill. Do you know what I mean by that? The furriest part. If you've seen dill, it's almost like a little green fur. I don't want the stems, in other words. The furry green part of the dill. I can't say that without laughing. Give me that green fur, that delicious green fur. There you go. And it looks like a lot, but remember, it's being spread out. It's also being cooked. So I can tell you that I know this is not too much. So what you're seeing being put in here held up very nicely in cooking. Now let's add some furious mixing to the mix. And we will have a good, creamy Italian and Greek tzatziki sauce. The ricotta, of course, makes it the Italian, but this is really important. And then, of course, after this, I'll just put it straight into the refrigerator and keep it stable, and it'll be ready for use. And that should be about it for the sauce. Okay, now this can go into the fridge. Okay, now the next challenge, of course, and the most important part of any pizza is the crust, the plate of the world. But before I can do that, I have to have flour on the countertop. So what I'm going to do is open the flour. Oh, you know what I need to go get? I need to go get my my small mini strainer, which is a very fine mesh, which is great for doing this. You need a fine mesh. You can't have a coarse mesh strainer or mini colander or whatever you want to call that. I use it. It's a very fine mesh. I think I bought it at Crate and Barrel. And anyways, what I'm doing now is I've got to pull the dough out of the pan. And before I drop the dough in, I actually sprayed it with a spray canola oil. And it makes getting the dough out very clean, and I highly encourage that tip for you. When you're going to put dough into the pan to rise, if you don't think you're going to get it, if you look at the pan right there, right before I pulled it away, it was clean, pretty darn clean, and that having that oil in really helps, and it won't hurt anything here, because at this point you're basically I'm going to do is cover it with more flour, and I'm going to now square it out, or kind of make a square out of it. I know it doesn't look like a square yet, but there, I'm trying to get it into equal parts, and not only equal parts, but equal height. That's important. You see, I'm feeling it for the height, and I'm trying to make a square out of it there. And when I get it to where I think it's even in height and even in distribution for a quadrant cut or fork cuts with my dough knife or my blade, that is going to be what I'm going to use. And I realize I want to get as equal as I can in my cuts, because that's important in getting good pizza distribution as far as your dough, and having in this case 4 pizzas that are equal in dough density for the 4 sheets that I'm making. Okay, well, now it's time to form sheets of dough, that is. This is a Sicilian style pizza, so we're going to make it in a square sheet. Rub the oil really fast as I can. Can you do it that fast? Can you speed up your life double? That's what I did. This video is at 200%. You should be able to work this fast too. I wish I could. It makes me just chuckle to see myself move like Charlie Chaplin in a silent film. If he was working in a pizzeria in the 20s, this is how fast he would move. But actually, to be serious here, this is what I'm doing is I'm getting all the sheets up and into pans, because as you can see, it won't stick. But that's about the amount of oil I want to use, and that's good olive oil. So I want to make sure that I line the sides and the bottom with it, scrape it up, get more flour under there, and stretch it out when you put it in. That's right. And let's do one more, and that'll be our 4 sheets at this point. So the real pivotal thing here is to make sure that you're always you're getting the sheets up. You're working with the dough relatively quick. It's not that it's going to dry out. It's just that let's move. We got things to do. Chop chop. Chop chop. Why do you say chop chop? All right. Anyway, so here's the key now. To stretch out the dough, you're stretching it and pulling it. As you're pushing down, you're pulling out. You want to spread the pan out with that dough, and press it into the corners with your fingers. Give it a little dough massage. Love. There you go. and push it in, and using a little flour now to stop it from sticking to my gloves. In the past, I've also used olive oil. You can do that too. Works about the same. I think flour works a little better though, because it keeps the dough a little drier. Although, come on, olive oil is also a great protection against moisture for sauce going into your dough, so that's not bad either. But so either one works, and there you go. There's one. And at this point, I'm going to transition. Well, all right, we'll watch myself make one more, just in case you say, maybe that was just beginner's luck. He just did one. No, I can do all four, but let's just do one more here. And as we do one more, you'll see I think I had a little more trouble with the second one, actually, right? Because it looks like I had this, it looks like I'm struggling a little earlier with it. But no, I think I got this one good. All right, so after we make the second one, we're going to pause it, or we're going to fast forward and get to the cooking of the dough, because all four sheets will be par cooked in the oven at that point. Okay, so we have our pizza sheets, and we're going to put them in the oven, and we're going to par cook them, meaning partially cook. And right there, I was just adjusting, noticing some separation in there. I'm just making sure it's being pushed into the corners and getting it into the oven so it can cook. And then we're going to let magic happen. Oh, it's done already. Well, it took about 5 minutes. So about 5 minutes in a 400-degree oven is what it took to actually cook those partially. Pretty much thoroughly, but this way, wet ingredients do not really have any effect on the dough. And that's it. Those meatballs are not yours. Okay, the next thing we want to do is put parchment paper inside the pan underneath the sheet of dough, because that really helps keep moisture down into the pan. And more importantly, what it also does is it allows the ingredients that I put edge to edge on my pizza to not stick to the pan as much. My goal, the whole reason I love this type of pan sheet pizza, is because I can go right up to the edge with the pizza. I don't have to worry. I don't have to leave you a thumb's worth of crust, what I call rip-off crust, because I'm not serving you bread, I'm serving you pizza. And I want to go right up to the edge, maybe over the edge. Maybe I'm a daredevil. I am a pizza daredevil. I do go over the edge, or up to the edge. If something goes over, oh, so be it. I'm a gambler. Anyways, so this is the important thing, is to show you. You can easily get this parchment paper. I actually bought this at Menards. Don't laugh. That parchment paper is from Menards. It is true. But you can get it at most stores in that size. And there you go, 4 sheets ready to go.
What time is it?
Yes, it's that time again. Zone Trivia time. Which of the following 4 cheeses is not included in the 3-cheese trio branded as Provel pizza cheese? Is it cheddar, mozzarella, Swiss, or provolone? The answer may surprise you. It's actually mozzarella. Now, don't let that fact that mozzarella is not included fool you. Those 3 cheeses go great together. Emo's Pizza in St. Louis for 56 years has been churning out a business that is a staple in the St. Louis area. And if you get to St. Louis, I encourage you to check this off your bucket list. This is a great place to try. And that ends this Zod Trivia Minute. Okay, well, at this point, it's time to assemble the pizza. We've got our plate, which is the crust, and we have our sauce, the tzatziki and ricotta sauce. And as you can see, as I'm working with the sauce, it's much more spreadable and thicker. Or maybe you don't know it, because if you didn't work with the tzatziki straight, I'll tell you from the pilot that I did, the tzatziki was very, it seemed watery, and certainly was. So this is why I thought it was so important to actually thicken it with the ricotta. And it, of course, in the second pilot, which actually became pretty much the beta for what this became in this pizza video, was that the ricotta was definitely required in order to make a thick enough sauce that would hold up under heat, and actually thicken and heat a bit, so it was really stable upon eating it. Whether you heated it at that moment, whether you ate it at that moment, or whether you froze it and reheated squares like I did, and also gave some pizza away. So therefore, it was great all around, and it held up to freezing and thawing and recooking just fine, and that's very important. As you can see now, under high speed, I'm actually spreading out the gyros as equally as I can between the two pizzas. And that's important because I believe in the distribution of meat, or wealth, if you want to call meat wealth. I'm like the Robin Hood of meat. No, I'm not drinking. Although it is, what time? It's 10:30 at night as I'm doing this. So I could be, but no, I actually want to get this video done. So the important point is spreading it out and making two pizzas at once and making multiple sheets at once is really what was really important here. By the way, the meatballs you saw in the video that I said they're not yours, jokingly. I made the other two sheets with the same sauce, but with chicken meatballs, and there was a chicken meatball and tzatziki, and it was fantastic, very good. I'd say just about as good as the gyros, but the gyros, of course, being gyros, had to be a notch better. Okay, now here comes the white onions. They're not Vidalia, by the way. They are truly just white onions that you buy as white onions. Not yellow onions, white onions. Although, yellow would work here too. So right now I'm putting on the yellow onions, and at this point, I think we're pretty much ready for cheese after the onions go on. Ah, my favorite, cheese. I can give up meat. Don't ask me to give up cheese. This is just mozzarella based, our topping. The reason is because I don't want to add any other flavor profile, like, let's say, a white cheddar or a Swiss or a provolone. Provolone's one of my favorites to go with mozzarella. Also, I like Swiss with mozzarella as well, depending on the toppings, depending on the pizza. But for this, it's just a straight mozzarella because I want you to dig in deep. This is the glue that holds the pizza together. So this is the topping that forms the glue that holds it together, that makes the party in your mouth, which is a Gyros Pizza. Now I'm waiting for my thumbs up here. Do I give the thumbs up? Yeah, there you go. Ready to go. Now I'm going to place these two pizzas we just made, the Gyros pizzas, on the top rack, and I'm going to put them into our oven, which is, I believe, at 400 degrees. Yes, indeed, it's 400 degrees.
Okay, the first two pizzas, the Gyros pizzas, are done, but what I want to do is sear the crust on the bottom on the stone, and that is something that we're going to do next. We're going to do it for 3 minutes each pizza.
I'll have to lift both pizzas out. Well, I want them to stop cooking at least on the top portion. I'll put one of them down on the bottom, and at this point we're good to go, and we'll cook them for 3 minutes. Our 3-minute timer is hit. It's time for us to pull out that first pizza and rotate that other one out and get it up on the top rack. And what we have to do then is set another 3 minutes, and we'll seal that second one up on a 3-minute timer. After I pull the sheets out of the oven, what I like to do is get them out of the pan as soon as possible. I know that pan's hot, it hurts a little bit to touch it, but I want to get it out. The parchment lifts right out. I just cut each end of it, and it lifts right out. Very good. I move the pizza from the oven over to the countertop because I want to remove the parchment paper, and it gets kind of crumbly and a lot of debris. I'm removing the parchment paper, going to throw it away, of course, and look at that. Ingredients to the edge of that pizza. No cheater crust, and right now we're just going to let it cool so that we can get ready to cut it. Okay, our 3-minute timer went off on the second Gyros pizza that we had on the bottom. We're going to lift that up. And then we're also going to have to lift up and put on the top rack the meatball tzatziki sauce pizzas, which is chicken meatball with a white onion, and those were fantastic. And we're ready to go. Okay, this is being a quarter sheet pizza, quarter of a full sheet. I'm going to cut it into 8 pieces now, and in my 8 pieces, I will be able to wrap them, and my work is almost done.
Wow, embarrassed to tell you this. I was so hungry. I started eating this piece. I realized, wow, I've got to talk about it. What's amazing is that you've got the gyros meat and the onion, and the tzatziki holds together nicely because of all of the ricotta that binds it and doesn't make it soupy. It stabilizes it. This isn't sliding all around. I mean, I can actually, this isn't sliding off. This isn't going anywhere. This is amazing. The crust got done very well, of course. Putting it on the stone for 3 minutes at the very end just sears it and seals it. As you can tell, the crust is very durable. And that's the goal. Make a pizza that is durable, you can freeze, and when you thaw it, it's ready to go. You also know from my dough recipes that I put enough oil in my dough recipe to get that membrane quality so that any wet sauce that you put on, especially like this, is not going to go through, and as you freeze it and then thaw it again, it's not going to soak through to the crust and just make it a sponge. That's a win. This pizza turned out extremely well. Every bit as good as my calculations estimated it to, and I'm very thrilled. Thank you. Thanks for joining me.